There we go. Boy, oh boy. It's that third world country stuff, folks. Appreciate you hanging tough. It's a little bit harder with the internet here in Ecuador. However, once we get into our place, it has a fiber optic network and lightning fast speeds. However, in the hotel that we're staying at, if there are 4 or 5 other people surfing the web at the same time, things aren't good. Lisa Trimble, I'm glad you're here. Jane Aldrich, good to see you. Roberta, what's happening, my friend? Sandy Wendy, what's up? Hey, Wes, good to have you here. Happy life. It is. And I'm happy that you are here. Living abroad with Johnny Scoville. Hey, I know him. Kristen Melinda. You know what, Kristen? You are a rock. Really happy that you're here. Tony Suter, good to have you. Glad that you're here. Welcome to the boat. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's still the boat. Crazy Cat, how are you? B. Hendricks, good to see you. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about today, folks. There really is. There's a hell of a lot to talk about. Hey, Wes, how are you? Let's fire this thing up. One of the first things that I wanted to get to, I know a lot of people followed the Karen Reed trial, and I wasn't able to be there for the conclusion. Wooing, I don't know how to say your name, but welcome. Hey, Crazy Cat, what's happening? A mixed bag of donuts. What's happening from Chicago? It has been a while. The Tommy Bird, there you are. So the Karen Reed murder trial, ironic, isn't it? That was a murder trial. People keep talking about how justice was served. It wasn't. And that's kind of a bummer for me. I'm very happy that Karen Reed was found not guilty. However, whoever killed her boyfriend, that person is still walking around. And I believe that person is probably Agent Higgins, Brian Higgins. I saw a great thumbnail. There we go. Saw a great thumbnail yesterday that said, Haas Long before they arrest that fool. Hey, where to? Good to see you. Glad that you're here. It's a great question, isn't it? Right? It's a pretty solid question. Are they going to arrest the people that actually killed that man? Because he died inside that house with a fist fight. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sweating like you wouldn't believe.
A little cold?
No, yeah, a little colder wouldn't be bad. I know outside it's the winter time here, believe it or not. But I turned off the AC in here, and it got really warm really quickly. Ashley, how are you? At least they didn't pin the murder on her. You know what? That's huge. It really is. That's huge. The sad thing is, they wanted to, right? That's the sad part of this. And the truth of the matter is, if it hadn't been for a pain in the ass YouTuber, right, by the name of Turtle Boy, more than likely she would be spending the rest of her life in prison for a crime that she did not commit. And there's a lot of takeaways from this, in my opinion. One of them is that the Good Old Boy Network is particularly in the northeast of the United States, right? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize that when we first came to the U.S., the East Coast got developed way before the West Coast did, right? There was a real jump, a real head start. And the police in places like Boston and other parts of Massachusetts have been around for an eternity, right? Hey, good to see you, Gianni. Appreciate that. I really do. There's been a lot of time for these people to go generational. And I've talked about this a lot on the boat before. Yeah, thank you, Kristen Melinda. You know, I didn't say this in the early days of YouTubing because I didn't want to sound like a YouTuber. What a dumb thing. But do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, right? Hit the bell for notification. If you do, you'll know every time I go live. And I would appreciate it. Honestly, I would. You know, the views are great, but it's nice to see subscriber counts go up, especially if they got pounded on. But I would like to see justice served in this case, right? The Good Old Boy Network that gets passed down from one generation to the other. I've talked about this a lot on the boat, so if you've heard me say this, I apologize. But if you've ever been around cops, or if you've ever been around guys that work in prisons or whatever, when they tell the stories of their jobs, they don't tell you the story of the day that they went to work, arrested a guy, everything went smooth, there was no problem. They tell the story of the time they beat the piss out of the guy. They tell the story of the time that they knew the dude was guilty and they had to throw a gun down, right? A backup gun that they had because they didn't have enough evidence on the guy. You follow me? And if you hear your grandfather tell that story, Helsinki, good to see you. If you hear your granddad tell that story, the next generation goes a little farther, and the next generation goes a little farther. And the same thing happens with the system's broken. The prosecutors, the cops, and the judge are all in bed together, right? They are the system. Now, theoretically, the defense is also they're agents of the court, but it's completely different, isn't it? Right? It's a very, very different situation. I've never seen a trial that was more one-sided with a judge than that particular. Hey, I love you too. Appreciate that. That would be my son, Spanx Calhoun. Love you. This is Auntie Bev, the judge in this, was so in the bag for the prosecution, it was disgusting. And people would say, why? You know, do you just really assume that she thought this girl was so guilty that she was going to do whatever she had to get her thrown in prison? I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all, because the evidence was so damn obvious, right? It was so over the top that this was a setup that anybody should be able to see it. It should have been painfully obvious to anybody watching. I don't think that's what was going on. What happens instead is, just like cops that are a little bit dirty, there are judges out there, and a cop goes in and says, hey man, this Johnny Scoville guy's guilty. He's guilty as sin. He's dealing drugs. And they go, have you done a controlled buy? No, we haven't. Haven't been able to get anybody to get in there and buy from the guy. But there's a lot of traffic. We know things are going on, and we want a search warrant. And a judge says, hey, Clifton Ferguson, good to have you. The judge says, yeah, I can't sign off on that. Right? That's not good enough. Right? That is not good enough to give a warrant. And the judge says, you know what? I'll sign off on it anyway. That's crooked. Right? That's crooked. She signs off on a warrant she knows is bullshit, or she does something along the lines just to help because we know that guy's a bad person. Pamela, you look fantastic in green. Welcome. It's great to have you. You get these people that are just so damn guilty that who cares if we throw out all of jurisprudence to get them sent to prison? You know who's a good example of that? P. Diddy. Hey, Puka Vista. Hey, Grace. Good to have you here. P. Diddy's an excellent example of that. I hate P. Diddy. I promise you, as much as anybody does. I can't stand P. Diddy. However, the problem becomes when we say he's such a bad person that it doesn't matter if we break the rules to put him in prison. And I got a lot of crap when I talked about this subject the last time. Come on. Because I talked about Harvey Weinstein. And Harvey Weinstein's a scumbag. Make no mistake, Harvey Weinstein is a scumbag. And there were a lot of women and probably a guy or two that got on their knees in front of Harvey Weinstein, right? And performed oral sex on that guy so that they could get a role in a movie. By the way, for those geniuses that have never heard this phrase before, forced sodomy, right, would be oral sodomy or anal sodomy. Comes in two varieties. I had a comment the other day about this. Come on, internet. But it was sodomy, oral sodomy in that case, allegedly by about 103 women. To tell the story, none of them could mention that his right testicle was buried in his right thigh. His left testicle was buried in his left thigh because he had some kind of a rare condition that was basically gangrene of the testes. And the tunic, which is what you call the bag that holds the raisins, had to be removed. Harvey Weinstein doesn't have a sack. And that's something that most people could identify very easily. Of the 103 people that alleged that they were sexually assaulted by Harvey Weinstein, only a couple of them ever showed up in court. Hold on one second. Mousy, do you know I did not know this? No lie. I did not know this. Her brother defended Chris Albert in a trial. I assume you're talking about Auntie Beth. He was found guilty and had to spend 6 months in jail. That's a conflict of interest. She should have recused herself. You're damn right she should have. Good God, that's the ultimate conflict of interest. But once you're owned, right? Once you're owned, then there's not much you can do. See, those people come back into her court and they da-da-da. Bev, you remember the time you helped us out with that? Come on, right? You're dirty. You're dirty. In fact, we got the name Auntie Bev, right? That wasn't made up. That came out because somebody inside the game said, how do you think this is going to go? Referring to the judge. And they said, you mean Auntie Bev? Trust me, she knows where all of the bodies are buried. DNV, good to see you. Glad you're here. You've come back. Appreciate those coming back. I appreciate it. Sammy Sue, good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. It probably pays off to say, whine a little bit more. Glad you're here. I saw a lot of people, my numbers spiked. My subscriber numbers spiked last night. And, you never really understand why something like that happens. When I say that I don't watch people that do content on me, I don't. I promise to God I don't. But apparently, Reese did a show last night that was very kind, and I appreciate that. I really do. Jane Aldrich says, Tommy, I love it when you cheer on the internet connection. Many of us are doing the same thing. Yeah, it's a little dicey here. It really is. You get it's hit or miss. But I appreciate your patience. If it goes dark, stick around. It usually comes back within a few seconds. It does become. I do honestly appreciate Reese doing that. I have been pretty open and honest from Jump Street. I don't hate Reese. And for those of you who really bum out about that, I hate what she did. Right? I hate what she did. But I don't hate her. I can't be that person. I've never been able to love someone on a Monday and hate him on a Tuesday. Good Lord, I wish I was that person, but I'm not. Never have been. I love my first wife. I still do. I always will. I pray for her every day. That's the truth. The justice system is a twisted circle. I do believe most judges are definitely for the prosecutor. They are. And I'll tell you something. I have seen it the other way. I've honestly seen it go in the other direction. There are judges who are in the tank for the defense every single time. 90% of the time, it's because these people worked as public defenders and worked their way through the system. So they still have kind of a love for that part of the law. And it sucks one way or the other, right? They're supposed to call balls and strikes. They're not supposed to pick winners. And unfortunately, Auntie Bev really tried to pick a winner, right? When the second trial came around and the defense said, we would like to put into the, before they go into deliberation, we want to give them a chance to say, okay, we're going to find them guilty on this or that or the other. Because the first trial, she was found not guilty on the murder charges and charged a second time. That, folks, is called double jeopardy. Any way you want to shake it. They got creative. They did whatever. It's double jeopardy. Hey, Tommy, I keep missing you live. I want to leave the country, but Suboxone issue. How are you able to get your Suboxone while there? Different laws. Yeah, there are different laws. And I don't want to say anything right now that would bum anybody out, right? The truth of the matter is this. I am getting a shot instead of Suboxone. I am taking Sublocade. So it is a shot that you only have to get once a month. And you can get it in this country. You have to go to a doctor. You have to go through a process. They're not going to write you a prescription for Suboxone that you can get at a pharmacy. You can find a doctor that will give you Sublocade in this country. That is possible. So you have to make a change. And I actually made that change prior to leaving the U.S. just in case it didn't react well with me. Sublocade. Jesse Brown, great to see you, man. Glad that you're here. I'm glad you're here, man. I really am. Referees often are biased, unfortunately. Ashley, you're right. You're absolutely right. But Metric, I would look into the country that you're going to because a lot of the stuff that you're going to hear is going to be BS, right? For instance, before we expatted, we did a lot of research, and I would go to these expat forums, and they would list 600 drugs that you're not going to be able to get in this country, right? So, God forbid you have, a disease or you have something that you needed to be treated with, and I'm not talking about narcotic stuff, I'm talking about regular drugs, and you go, well, if I can't get that, I can't live there. You can get anything, right? Very few exceptions. Suboxone happens to be one of those exceptions. They do not believe in it here. But every drug that was on the list that you couldn't get, you can get in this country. It's just not called the same thing, right? It does not have the same name. It doesn't even have, for instance, lorazepam, right, would be Ativan. Okay, Ativan is available in this country, but it's not called lorazepam. It doesn't even have the same, right, generic or a name brand, neither, but it is the same formulation. Those forums are often misleading, says Ashley. Absolutely they are. They really are, because so often there are people, sadly, the people on those forums are drug addicts. They really are. And there are a lot of people who expatriate to other countries because they think they're just going to be able to go nuts doing drugs. I wouldn't recommend Ecuador if that's your goal. The new president in Ecuador has repealed a lot of the more lenient drug laws. They had decriminalized almost everything under, I think, 10 grams or I don't remember, 5 grams or something like that. And that had been the standard for a long time. When the new president took office, he did away with that. I don't know that that's such a bad thing. I go back and forth, right? I think in the United States, the only hope that they have is to legalize everything. I haven't seen a person on the street nodding out. I haven't seen someone shooting up on a park bench. I haven't seen any of the stuff that you see in the United States. You just don't see here. Accusations without proof are not the same if you carry a badge. Yeah, there's something to that. There really is. And unfortunately, look, here's where we're at in the United States of America. We have a great concept. We really do. The United States has the greatest concept on the planet, right? Yeah, everyone seems to be happy about the new president in Ecuador. I will not say everybody. Our cab driver was not really happy. There were a couple of people that we've met that are not huge fans of the new president. He comes from a very wealthy family. They one of the largest exporters of bananas in Ecuador, and that is probably the biggest moneymaker in Ecuador. And recently, a load of bananas that was leaving his family's factory had stink loads of cocaine in it. And that looks bad, right? That's a really, really bad appearance. Now, logically, you think one of the richest dudes in the country is going to try to smuggle a little bit of blow out of, to make a little bit of extra money while running for president? I don't buy that. I don't. I think more likely, they probably put a bunch of blow in there and tried to get caught to make the guy look like he's a scumbag. That's a guess. It's literally just a guess. But that makes more sense to me than someone just trying to do the BS. DNV says, "Hey, Scooby Lee, good to see you, man." Wow, how cool is that? It's good to see you. Tommy, I'm glad you're standing up for yourself with Maryland. Your past deserves to be the past. I'll tell you something, people. And I'm not going to go the tit for tat and fire back like that woman does. She's an idiot. Anytime somebody says something about her, she's got to make another video. And I love that. I do. I love that. Keep going. Just keep on going. And some of the things that people have said, like somebody wrote to me and said, you have a lawyer that would come on and talk. What lawyer would ever go on YouTube? How stupid is that? Are you kidding? Do you not watch true crime? I could rip off 5 or 6 names right now of attorneys that have 500,000 subscribers and still take cases, right? I have been on Surviving the Survivor a dozen times, right? I don't know, maybe less than that. Been on Surviving the Survivor a lot. I don't think I was ever on it once when there wasn't an attorney on. Do we sell the house in Arizona? The house in Arizona is being rented, actually. We are currently renting the house in Arizona. We will most likely put it on the market. The reason that we're renting it is we're renting it to a family member currently. Jeff Canale, you know what, man? You're lucky I still talk to you. My elbow clicks. Oh, I can't tell you. Every time you hear it click, it's because of this SOB. He put me in an arm bar and I didn't tap and he snapped my arm. It was the sickest sound you ever heard. To his credit, he said, "Oh my God, are you all right?" I had to walk out of prison with my arm in a sling. He did it to me. I think it was either the day before I left or 2 days before I left. We used to do a lot of jujitsu, me and Jeff Canale in prison. A lot of fun doing it. Great human being. No shit. One of the top 5 people I've ever met, and I don't say that I don't say that lightly. Truthfully, one of the greats. Good to have you here, my brother. And there is a reason why your windshield is larger than your rear view mirror. Yeah, there is. Some of the stupid things that people have said about it. You know what? My past is my past, and yeah, oral sex happened. Right? It wasn't anal sodomy; it was oral sodomy, and it happened. To defend yourself, you got to go into court and say, "Let me explain how this happened." When you do that, they say you are then guilty of statutory rape, because at the time in the state of Vermont, statutory rape, a boy could be 15 and have intercourse or sexual contact with a woman 17 and still be charged with statutory rape. It's not that way anymore, but it was in the 80s. Another genius wrote, "The reason you don't have to register as a sex offender is because the sex offender registry didn't come into existence until 1996. It came into existence in 1994, and it has been litigated all the way to the Supreme Court dozens of times. If you had committed a rape in 1970, you still have to register as a sex offender. It is a retroactive act. Nobody does any research. I'll tell you what, AI kicks ass. It kicks ass. For all of you who think that this Marilyn Honig thing, and this is the last thing I'm saying about this woman because she's a pain in my ass, but if you think that I don't have a case, if you think that the things I'm saying are BS, go to AI and say, someone has called someone a child molester, right? How are they going, and they get sued, what do they have to do? And AI is going to say, they're going to have to go into court and prove you're a child molester. So she's going to need to prove that I had sex with a child when I was over the age of 18. She likes to wave the document that says, see this? This was 1989. He was born in 1970. That makes him 19. So he's a child molester. I went to court in 1989. Right? Yeah. The alleged incident happened in 1986. And she acknowledged that in a video. Thank you for that, by the way. When she said, Tommy's a liar. He said that he wasn't the same. He was a year older than her. He was 16. She said that out of her dumb mouth. Honestly, that was the clip that someone sent to me that caused me to hire an attorney, right? You know damn well that I wasn't an adult, yet you continually call me a child molester. So you're going to have to prove it. That's it. It's the bottom line. And another person said, why would you ever come on and say it first? Because I can't lose, number one. And number two, I know she's going to double down. I know she's going to keep doing what she does. And you know what? That's awesome. That's awesome. It really is. So let's stop talking about her, really, because honestly, folks, she is a woman who every view she gets is shitting on other people. If you go and look at Social Blade, she averages about 600 views a day, somewhere in there. Those views have been a lot more lately, right? She's killing it. You know why she's killing it? Because paralegals and attorneys are going through all of her stuff.
Yep.
For real. And the fact that I came out here and said I'm going to sue her sent a lot of other people over there to see if she actually called me a child molester. And, you know, she can go ahead and take them all down now if she'd like. It's not going to change anything. But let's stop talking about her. She's a waste of time. She really is. She does not create content. She doesn't. She craps on other people. And you know something? To give somebody crap for something that they did in their past, this is a woman who may have a case of her own. And I'm not going to say anything ugly. Thank you, my brother. I really appreciate you. Good man. Yeah, allegedly, like that word? Allegedly, she's a child abuser. Allegedly, there's a case out there that you can look up. Allegedly, there's also a video of one of her kids talking about it. People who live in glass houses probably shouldn't throw rocks. I don't do this shit, right? This is disgusting. I don't do it. Hey, Monk, good to see you. SoCal, what's happening? I don't do this. It makes me sick. So let's get back to real business. So I saw a thumbnail yesterday, and I said to Johnny, "This is the greatest thumbnail I've ever seen in my life." If you followed the Karen Reed murder trial, you know that at 2:27 in the morning, allegedly, because honestly, folks, believe it or not, I don't think this happened. I don't, and I'll explain why in a minute. But hey, Handmade Hazard, how are you? So this is in the Karen Reed case. There, I lost my train of thought completely. Hopefully, it will come back to me in a second. Just give me 1 second, because I'm sure it will come back. Yeah, well, you know what it is. It's not so much that they're angry at themselves. It's how they make a living, right? You can make a living creating content. If that doesn't work, then you can make a living crapping on people that create content. And that's a genre, man. It's a huge genre. It really is. Unfortunately, it's probably one of the biggest ones on YouTube, gaming being the biggest. And the other are people that don't really gain any traction. But if you come on and say really hateful crap, then you're going to get people to start talking about it, right? It's going to be one of those things that comes up. Now hum the Black Crows. It's been a while. You know what? If I start doing that, Uncaged Gary, good to see you. If I start doing that, I'll never stop it. That's the problem, man. I get on that Black Crow thing, and it's terrible. Yes, thank you, Sammy Sue. See that? That's my girl. Thanks again, Jeffrey. Appreciate the super chat. You said at 2:29 something happened. Thank you. In the case, it is alleged that at 2:27, one of the people involved in this case Googled, right, how long to die in the cold, except she misspelled it, right? So it was Hoslong, H-O-S, Hoslong to die in the cold. I don't think that happened at 2:27. I really don't. That doesn't make as much sense to me as the fact that she had done it the following morning. I don't think that Karen Reed ever said anything to her, but I don't think that night she thought about any of that. I don't think the body was outside, right? They left that body inside. When they did the autopsy, they said that the body didn't show the hypothermia that you would normally expect to see if somebody was left outside from midnight until 5 a.m. in the snow, right? In what, a sweatshirt and a pair of pants, right? This person was going to be really brutally hypothermic, and there was going to be all kinds of burning, believe it or not. What the cold does, correct, Monk. He died in the basement, and he was left in the basement. And then they had to put him outside so that it looked like he got hit by a car, right? So they dumped him on the lawn later that day. This is why his phone showed that at a certain time, he walked 80 steps. How could that possibly be? Well, because if you go upstairs, right, that counter is still going to do that. They carried his happy ass up and put him outside in the cold to die, right? A brother officer. What this case is one of the most disgusting things that has ever happened. And if it doesn't radically change jurisprudence, hopefully in the United States, it won't, but at least in Massachusetts, right? Because this is heinous. Can you imagine what would have happened if Turtle Boy didn't get a hold of this? Can you imagine what would have happened if the world didn't get pissed off, right? And start showing up wearing pink and yelling, "Free Karen Reed"? Some of the testimony is so egregious, right? It is so awful. The woman, I can't think of her name. She testified at the FBI trial, and she said, yeah, those two guys were in the Sally Port for such a long period of time that I found it really odd. She comes to the second trial and says, no, they were never there. I just it was a mistake. Once I understood the timeline correctly, I realized that never happened. You didn't say, I may have seen them. They might have been there. I saw them there for so long that it freaked me out. It didn't make any sense to me that they were there that long. To go from that to they were never in the building. Are you shitting me? Honestly, how does that work in any world? Huh? In any world. It's Me and my wife discussed about moving to Thailand because it's so much cheaper. We just don't want to go anywhere anymore because people are just not cool. You know what? I went to Thailand. Oh, yeah, Andrew B. I went to Thailand, and I'll tell you my Thailand story in a moment. Never knew a YouTuber was involved in all of it. A YouTuber was the whole damn thing, right? And they're trying to prosecute him. But he caught wind, and I don't know how, but he figured out the Has Long to Die, that someone had allegedly looked that up at 2:27 in the morning, and it got the ball rolling, and people started to realize that every single person involved in this were basically family, right? The McAlberts, they like to call them, because the Alberts and the McCabe's, it's like one family, right? They hang out together 24/7. These people were in bars, and you know what? I'm not crapping on anyone's lifestyle. I'm really not. Yeah, I am. I'm sorry, I am. This guy's my age. You're sitting in a bar in your 50s doing one shot after another, yelling social like you're in college. You need to get your life together. For real. I mean, I'm sorry. I understand people who drink. You know, I have a beer from time to time. I dig it. But tossing back, 4 or 5 shots, Karen Reed, right? Love her. God bless her. I'm glad she's free. How many drinks did you have that night, Sunshine? 14? And she says, those drinks were so weak, right? Yeah, I was ordering a shot to throw into them because they were so weak you couldn't taste the vodka.
So 14 doubles.
So holy God. I mean, this woman drank enough to put me, and I'm 200 pounds, I'd have been unconscious, right? I would say she had a drinking problem. I would say that all of them had a drinking problem. Look at this. Can you guys see this? That's Katy Perry making love to Squirrel Nut Zipper. Sorry, I had to show you that.
So cute.
So yes, back to Thailand. I went to Thailand twice. Boy, won't they have fun with that? Yeah, I went to Thailand twice, and it's disturbing. It's you would have to put on blinders to a level that I don't think most people could do. I remember getting in a car from the airport and a cab, and the cab driver said, what are you into? Right? What are you into? And the really broken English. And my boss at the time was a guy named Rex. He's no longer with us. In fact, he got murdered in Thailand. But he older boys, older girls. This was in the cab, 5 minutes, right, in Thailand. And I don't know, I wanted to choke the cabbie out, right? I wanted to kill him. It's one of those things that that I remember being in a market, and these little kids are coming up with fake watches, trying to sell you a fake Rolex or trying to sell you a fake Cartier or whatever. And like, I had no interest in buying a fake watch. And I said to the guy that I'm with, I'm like, damn, they got little kids selling them. He goes, they're not selling watches, dude. They're not selling watches. This is the hustle of how the pimps get the kids out. The scumbag says, yeah, I want that watch. And then they take the kid over to abuse him. I couldn't live in a place like that. I couldn't. It's not something that I could be comfortable with. Now, the country that I'm in right now, Cali Chaos, good to see you. The country that I'm in right now, hi, Don. Prostitution has been legal in Ecuador forever. Since, I think in Quito, which is the capital, I think they legalized it in 1911 or something like that. And while I will never visit a place like that, come on, you can do it. While I'll never visit a place like that, I think that's a much safer bet than women who sell themselves on the street, right? I was a heroin addict for a really long time. And if you are addicted to that drug, you will meet a lot of prostitutes. It's just kind of one of those things, because women sell their bodies to get heroin. Men tend to steal, right, or commit other crimes, but women tend to sell them to get money to do dope. And Get out of here. I was this close to pulling the plug, folks. I was this close to pulling the plug. What I was saying is this. We believe in you, Internet. That's funny. Hey, just in case you thought I was just on vacation, squirrel nut zipper. She made the trip with me. I knew girls that got beat up, right? Johns that just got their rocks off by beating up women. And they wouldn't call the cops because they didn't want to admit to the cop that they were breaking the law. They're a prostitute. They're not going to call the police, right? And the places that legalize prostitution, at least a woman is protected. If a guy wants to do something like that, they're going to get arrested for doing that. They're going to be prosecuted, right? The women are protected. If they want to make a decision to sell their body, that is their decision, right? And I believe everybody should have the right to do what they want with their body. I do. And I think that that goes for all parties. I know this isn't going to sound logical coming from me, but if you want to stick a needle in your arm and put dope in it, I think you got that right. Sorry, I do. I think if it works for one gender, it works for the other, right? You can do whatever you want with your body because it's your body, and the government can't tell a woman what she can do with her body, but they can tell everybody that they can't get high, right? You can't smoke a plant that has been naturally growing on this planet for eternity. Some of those things don't make sense to me. And the problem with trying to stamp out drug use is what you do is make drugs really valuable, right? If you make the laws massively restrictive, then smuggling that shit across the border becomes so lucrative that a person will risk their freedom or their life to do it. And if a person gets caught, 2 seconds later, someone else will take their spot and they'll take the same risk. And I don't hate those people at all. They're trying to get a better life. It may sound effed up, but they're trying to get a better life. I hate the people that are making it. I hate the people that are putting it in the backpacks and sending these people on their way. But they're just trying to get a better life. And I understand that, right? I left America, and I love America. I promise you I do. But I left America for a better life. Our judicial system, as messed up as it is, do you know why that there are people out there getting, hey, Laura Lee, you know why there are people out there getting abused as badly as they are? Because every single time a jackass from the internet calls someone up and says, hey, Tony Scoville is smuggling GHB across the border up his anus, right? They have to investigate this. GHB is a liquid most of the time. I've never seen it in any other form. But apparently I was putting that liquid up my butt. When you cross the Mexican border, they scan your passport, right? How hard would it have been for them to just look and see how many times I had actually been to Mexico, right? But they still got to call me. They still got to bust my balls. They still got to investigate it. They still got to reach out to people on YouTube, right? And I refuse to talk to them, right? I'm not stupid. I was a convict. I'm not talking to you. You want to talk to me? Screw you. What you want to do is build a case against me. I'm not going to talk to you. And I finally got a phone call where a guy said, listen, man, you're going to talk to me. You don't have to say a word. Just listen, because I'd like to close your file. I said, go ahead. And he said, I have nothing on you. Nothing, right? There's obviously a lot of people that hate you, and I don't know why. But there is a campaign because we're getting a ton of phone calls. Well, that's great, isn't it? Right? That's great. That's what that officer ought to be doing, right? Another one, I was accused of human trafficking. Now, you can hate me all you want, man, right? I'm a convict. I was a con man. I've admitted to all the things I've done. Go ahead and freaking hate me. But you think I'm smuggling kids? I mean, holy shit. But if you report to Homeland Security that somebody is involved in human trafficking, trust and believe they have to research it, which means that they're not researching someone who probably is involved in human trafficking. By the way, human trafficking is not always what it appears, right? We think human trafficking and we think of someone that snatches a child and sells them to another country. Very often, it's people getting folks across the United States border. That is a huge business. I mean, you cannot imagine the amount of money in it. I did a ton of time with people who were in prison for smuggling human beings, right? The trouble with that, obviously, is if you think you're going to get caught, you jump out of the truck and you run like hell. And you've heard the cases, we've all seen them, right? Where by the time someone notices that truck and opens the back of it, half of the people have died of heat. The number of people who die in trying to cross the border between Mexico and the United States every single year is horrific. And by the way, the people that are coming, if you're a female, you're not getting to this country without getting raped. This is not a joke. It's not going to happen, because that's just part of what's going to happen to you if you pay to be smuggled across the border. You happen to be a female, they're going to take advantage of you. That's it, right? And you've all heard the stories, right? They wear wristbands, like you go to a nightclub, and the wristbands have different colors on them: red, blue, green, whatever. Those colors are telling the people on the other side of the border how much money you still owe. So you end up working at a massage parlor, right? Doing rub and tugs or blowjobs or whatever you got to do to pay off, right, what it took to smuggle you into our country. And again, people just looking for a better shot at life. You know, the United States of America and their war on drugs has destroyed more than just the United States of America. It's done a hell of a lot of damage to Mexico. It's done a hell of a lot of damage to a lot of countries, right? Our stance on the consumption of drugs has literally. Hey, Lindsay, good to see you. You know what, Lindsay? Let me give you a shout out. I happened to catch your last show, Lindsay, and I loved it. I like the direction you're going in. I mean that. Keep doing what you're doing, man. That's the content that will make the internet better. You know what? For real. If we all start doing stuff where we talk about concepts and we talk about living better lives and things like that, it's going to be a better world, for real. And I love that. I hate saying I'm proud of people, because it always sounds like, what right have I got to be proud of anybody? But I'm proud of you for that last show. It was awesome. It really was. I hope you continue that. It would be great. You're not going to get across the border without the cartels being involved. You're absolutely right. And they're making more money smuggling people than they are smuggling dope, which is terrifying if you think about it, because they are making truckloads, right, of money. The government has found warehouses full of cash. Can you imagine that? They've literally found warehouses full of cash. These people are making so much freaking money that they don't know what to do with it. They can't even hide it. Debbie going strong, lurker from the beginning. So happy for you and Johnny. It's great to see you living your best life. In this case, you earned your good karma. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you know, I apologize, honestly, that I even had to come on and talk about the stuff with what's her name, Marilyn. It's embarrassing. It really is. I have talked about content creators in the past. I stood up for them while other people trashed them. If you ever come across anything I did talking about a content creator, it was me defending them. Oddly enough, those same people trashed me the first chance they got to get views out of it. But you live and you learn, don't you? Right? Kind of how it works. You live and you learn. And I'll tell you something. You may not believe this, but I'm happier today than I can remember being in my life. This was a great move for me. It really was a great move for me. Aside from the fact that it looks like paradise, right? It's just blue water, and we moved here in the winter. This is what we call the off season, right? This is the winter. And today's cold. What is it, about 65 out there today or something like that? It'll hit 75. It's almost 75 every day, all the time. In the hot season, it'll get up to about 85 or 90, but it is almost always 75 degrees. It kind of reminds me of San Diego a little bit. I've never been to San Diego when the weather wasn't perfect, you know? Laura Lee Smith, thank you. It's all right. Honestly, it is. You know something, folks? I've done enough terrible shit in my life that I deserve a lot of what happens to me. For real. And I don't go after people that talk about me for the terrible things that I've done in my life, because I was dumb enough, brave enough, honest enough, whatever you want to call it, to come here and tell everybody everything about me. I've done it on other shows. I've been very open. I've been very honest, right? I am what I am. And I probably deserve a lot of what I got in life. I certainly deserved every single friggin' prison sentence I ever got. I didn't go to prison for what this woman keeps talking about from the 1980s. Trust and believe, rape puts you in prison. But I didn't do a day in prison for any of that shit. But she knows that. She does. What she's doing every day is lying. She comes out and she just, but it's how you make a living. Because if it isn't me she's beating on, it's Reese. If she's not beating on Reese, she's beating on Aaron one day and then not the next or whatever. Like, her entire show is, I'm going to crap on this person. I'm going to crap on that person. And if that's your get down, dig it, man. Dig it. Cali Chaos, that's your city? Yeah, it's beautiful, man. It really, really is the weather there is fantastic. However, I'd have to get back into bank robbery if I was going to afford to live there. There's another thing. No one can tell me you ever did anything criminal or anything against me since prison. You were accused of it, but it never happened. People don't know shit. Lisa Trimble, I appreciate you saying that. For those of you who don't know, Lisa Trimble is the one of the people I'm accused of conning out of money. Thank you, Lisa. You're an incredibly kind person, and I know that you don't like doing that. I know that was uncomfortable. I know that's not. I appreciate that you did that. I know that was uncomfortable. God bless you. I really appreciate it. Stephanie says, hi, Tommy. I'm just catching up after a couple of months. You look so happy. Where are you? I am in Salinas, Ecuador, which is my new home. I like your rule that you talked about not talking about other creators. I'm committing to this as well.
Excellent.
I think it's an entirely different situation that you're in right now with the other creators. It's true. I was not given a choice on this one. I really wasn't. That sucks. It sucks. But if we don't occasionally say, you know what, this is the one, right? That there are 30 people I could sue for saying the exact same thing, right? But only one of them went on one day and said, I got money. I can afford a lawyer. Take a shot at me. I got money. Okay. All right. Careful what you wish for, right? Careful what you wish for. I'm not going to bother suing someone who lives on government assistance, right? Seriously, can't feed his family, doesn't have a job, hasn't had one in years. Why? Yeah, it's not going to damage them at all. See, what would happen is I would pay a lot of money, and then they would not show up in court. I'd get a default judgment, and I can't put a lien on somebody that gets government assistance. What am I going to do? They get $800 a month or $1,200 a month. I'm going to take $50 of it. I'm not going to waste my time or my effort on that. And also the number of views those people get. But a monetized channel that makes money off of, as my people started to look through her stuff, it's astounding that she only gets views when she trashes people. If she puts Reese as in the thumbnail, or she puts me and Reese in the thumbnail, it's the only time she gets views, which means that she is intentionally doing this to make money. They love that in court. They love that in court. They really do. Stephanie says, Ecuador, fantastic. So happy for you. I'll tell you what, and there's a lot of great places in Ecuador. We picked Salinas, but there are so many beautiful cities. We did not pick the city that most expats move to. Most expats move to a place called Cuenca, which is, it's probably way more American. Maybe that's a good way to put it. There's movie theaters all over the place. There's theater, live theater. There are a lot of concerts. It's almost Americanized, or like a lot of places in Europe. I very much wanted to be near the ocean. So did Johnny. And there was another place that we looked at called Manta, which is beautiful. Manzanita. There's a couple of great beach towns, but they're not. They're rustic. They're not quite. This is the best of both worlds, kind of. Salinas is great because you get all the benefits of living in Miami, but you don't pay the prices of living in Miami. This is a very, very modern city, but in ways it's very modern, and in ways it's 1950, right? Like you go and you check into a hotel in America and they say, I need to see 3 forms of ID. You got a credit card I'm going to put on. In Ecuador, you come in and you say, do you have a room? They say, yeah, I do. It's $25. You take the money out, you go to hand them ID or anything else, they hand you the key before you get There's no papers to fill out.
According to the room.
They point to the room and tell you the room number. It's very, very different. It's just bizarre is what it is. It's absolutely bizarre. I took a cab ride, right? And the only thing I had in my pocket, because I'm an idiot American, the only thing I had in my pocket was a $100 bill. And when I pulled it out, the guy went, I can't break a $100 bill. And I said, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And I said, and he goes, go break it. I'll wait here. You're going to trust me to walk off? And I said, all right. And I did. And I ran back and I tipped the hell out of him. And he looked shocked that I tipped him. But where I come from, if you said to a cab driver, I'm just going to walk down the street and get change, right? He'd jump out of the cab and beat the hell out of you, right? I'm from the Northeast. Try that in Boston and New York. It's also crazy, but it's considered bad form to get to the point. And I think that's kind of cool. Like, I'll send you a text and go, what are you doing? Want to go out? Or I'm doing lunch. You want to do that? You would never do that in this country. Because in this country, you go, hey, how you doing? Huh? Things going well? How's the family? It is de rigueur. It's considered just standard operating procedure that you're kind, that you take the time to say, nobody walks by you that doesn't say hello. Buenos noches, buenos dias. Sure. Everybody. And I'm not used to that. I'm really not. And I'll tell you something else. It's great to not have people walk up to me and go, hey, aren't you Johnny Scoville? Because nobody ever walks up to me and says, hey, aren't you Tommy Scoville? But I get, aren't you Johnny Scoville all the damn time in the United States of America. Here, nobody knows who we are. Nobody. And that was really the problem in America. And I'm not saying that we're cool and famous and Brad Pitt, because we're not. It's not like anybody knew us walking down the street. It was, well, with Johnny's different. But with me, nobody knew me walking down the street. But haters had begun to follow me. Haters had begun to vandalize things. I got spit in the face. I got spit in the face at an airport. And I just got to a point where I'm like, why am I doing this? Right? Why am I doing this? Is there not some place that I could be going that, where I'm not going to have to put up with this crap? And the other thing is, you want to keep it real. I know the haters are going to call Ecuador and say, hey, you got this guy there. He's a human trafficker. He's this, he's that. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Because I don't know how much you guys know about Ecuador, but if you remember the name Julian Assange walked into an embassy, the Ecuadorian embassy, right, in Great Britain, in the UK. And the UK wanted him, right? The United States wanted him. And the Ecuadorian said, no, you're not coming in here to get him. He's on Ecuadorian soil and we will protect him. And he was accused of some rank shit, which, by the way, turns out that it was probably trumped up, right? That rape charge doesn't look like it's holding up. Looks like it was just a way to try to get the guy. And again, we get this thing, especially in America, where we go, he's such a bad person that it doesn't matter what we got to do to put him away. And you know what? That scares the shit out of me. Because I'm living in a place where people are calling the DEA and telling them I'm smuggling drugs. People are calling Homeland Security and telling them I'm smuggling humans. They're calling the local police to tell them I'm a drug dealer or that I'm raping people, right? Like all of this. So think in your head. These people get together 5 or 6 times a year to do interagency stuff. Hey, I'm working on this. You're working on that. And they go, hey, who's this guy Scoville or Miller? Everybody. I got 25 phone calls. Right? All it takes is one guy to go, oh, so he's a scumbag, but we got nothing on him? Well, let's get him. Right? It says the lifeboat on his license plate. We'll pull him over and we'll throw a quarter ounce of dope in his back seat. And that's all it would take. For real. That's all it would take. Hillary made up the R charge on Julian Assange. How about that? Right? How about that? It happens. By the way, I'm not saying that the girl made up a charge about me from 1986. That happened. Never denied that. Right? Never denied that. So if anyone says that I did, I talked about this on the show so much I could vomit about it. But I never denied that happened. It did happen.
That was weeks ago.
That was weeks ago.
I'm partying now.
We're in Ecuador now. But this is a place that protects its people. And one of the things that we did before coming here was to make it very clear that we're not on vacation, right? We actually went to the consulate in Phoenix to start the process. We did not have an embassy in Arizona, but if any of you are in Arizona and are thinking of coming here, there is a consulate in Phoenix, and some of the kindest people you will ever meet in your life. And they're not going to BS you. I learned a lot more from them than I did from any of the platforms that we went on where you could talk to expats and all that, because you get a lot of BS. You really do. You get a lot of people that they may not even live there, right? They're just on the forums having fun because that's how trolls and people are. But it was they really helped a lot in the process. Tammy, thank you. I appreciate that. Tammy says, hey, I resubscribed. I'm so glad you were doing well and you were going to stop the lies that MH is spreading. You know what? Her days are numbered. I'm telling you, they are. I mean, she may decide to keep her channel after this is all said and done. I'm doubting it. I'm doubting it. But I'll tell you this too. In any other kind of suit like this, there are options, a crap load of them. And one of them would just be to say, take your channel down, delete it, and do an apology video first, and we'll call this even. No mother loving chance. None. If it was an accident, if it was an oversight, but to come on and say, he lied, he was 16, right? And then say, look, he's 19. She knows what's up. Literally lying. So she wants to do that's all good. And she will deal with what happens. But Tammy, thanks for coming back. It means a lot to me. Again, a shout out to Reese. And I know that there are a lot of people on the boat that hate Reese. You know what? Hate sucks. I promise you. It doesn't make any of us a better person. It doesn't. I hate Diddy. And you know what? That's not even healthy. But I don't want to see him go to prison on bullshit testimony. I don't want to see him go to prison for something he didn't do, because the stuff that he really did do, they can't seem to convict him on. And I'm not terribly concerned about the Diddy trial. The civil cases, man, you start reading through those civil cases are bullshit. I'm telling you, if 10% of those are real, I'll be shocked. Shocked. Because the bandwagon starts, right? America is, hands down, the most litigious society on earth, right? More lawsuits. It is considered a way to get rich, right? We see the commercials. Been in a wreck and need to get paid, right? There's something wrong with that, right? We've gotten to that place as a country where, oh, you slipped and fell? See if you can't put that business out of business. That's jacked up. It really is. It's jacked up. You know that there are gangs of people that have been busted where they've got toggle switches, right, underneath the dashboard that kills the brake lights, right, kills the power to the brake lights. So they jam on the brakes. The person behind them runs into them because they don't see any brake lights. And then the guy flips the switch back on. Now the cops come. You touch the brakes, the brake lights go on. That person that rear-ended him is going to get sued. And the insurance companies and everyone else, it's a business. I did time with people that got caught for it. The problem in almost every society, but in America in a big way, is that everything we do is a knee-jerk reaction, right? It's a knee-jerk reaction. Like when the Sacklers told everybody on planet Earth that you had a 4% chance of getting addicted to OxyContin, right? I was written a prescription for 12 OxyContin 80s a day. I tell doctors that and they go, BS, there's no chance. Fortunately, I still had a bottle. I could show them. It's like that tall, right? 12 OxyContin 80s a day. You only had a 4% chance of getting addicted to it. You were more likely to get addicted to Loratab than you were OxyContin, according to the Sacklers, right? According to a report that never happened, right? That never even happened. It wasn't a report. It was an article that a guy wrote just based on some of the patients that he had, right? It was the Glick, something in Glick report. I can't remember off the top of my head anymore. Porter Glick. The Porter Glick study is what they quoted. And when they got the poor bastard, the guy goes, I never did a study. What are you talking about? They tried to subpoena him. He said, I'm not going, you subpoena me for what? What are you talking about? I didn't do a study. No, he wrote a paper to the New England Journal of Medicine or whatever. And the other doctor wasn't, one of them wasn't a doctor. It was the name of the secretary that typed it out, right? So it was like a Dr. Porter or a Dr. Glick. That's what they used to tell the world that you had less than a 4% chance of getting addicted to this stuff. And famously, in a meeting, right, publicly traded, in a meeting, when they said the addiction rates are right now looking a lot closer to like 17% or higher, right? Which starts looking at what, 1 out of every 5? We learned later that it was way higher than that. But the president of the company said, and I quote, "Really? I thought it would have been higher than that." They're cool with it. Do you know how much money has been paid out? Billions of dollars has been paid out because of what the Sacklers did. I didn't get any of it, right? It destroyed my effing life, turned me into a junkie, right? I was a skier, got a ton of injuries and got put on 12 Oxycontin 80s a day, turned me into a friggin' junkie. I didn't get any of that money. But you know where that money goes? Huh? Yeah, goes to lawyers. God bless them, man. But what did we do with the Sacklers? Right? What did we do? The knee-jerk reaction was, don't write another prescription for pain meds. You tell doctors no more pain meds. How stupid do you have to be to not go, wait a second, we created millions of drug addicts, and now we're going to tell them you can't have it anymore. You think they just stopped doing the dope? What you did was create a black market, right? The reason that there are pill presses cranking out fake perk 30s is because we made it impossible for people with legitimate pain to get pain medication. And I got news for you. There are people on this planet that need to take opiates every day for the rest of their lives in order to have a quality of life that is half-ass decent. That doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't make them a sinner. It doesn't make them a junkie. It makes them somebody that needs a medication. And nobody busts the balls of anybody that has to take insulin, right? That weak ass can't process sugar. But they'll bust the balls of somebody who has fibromyalgia, right? They're faking that. They just want dope. It's ugly, right? Knee-jerk reaction. All of a sudden, nobody could write a prescription for pain meds. And all of those people went to the street. And now the number one cause of death in the United States of America is drug overdose. Sad, right?
Crazy.
Really crazy. And I'll tell you something. Hate your current president, because he's not my president, right? Hate your current president or love your current president. When that cat took over in office, they threw a switch, right? And the immigration problem was over. The illegal immigration problem was cut by like 90% instantly. You know what that means? Huh? That means that both parties allowed people to die so that they could do better in elections. And that sucks. That sucks. You know what else sucks? That the people we elect, politicians, right? They have to go to Congress and do what?
Lobby.
They have to make laws, right? So 1,000 years from now, you're still going to be making laws? How can you continually come up with thousands and thousands of laws every year? There are laws in the United States of America for how high a urinal has to be off the ground, right? In a ballpark. No joke. There are laws on the books in the United States that every public pool in the U.S. needs to have a lift, right? That can lower handicapped people in and out of the pool, which I think is fantastic. Seriously, everybody should have the ability to get in and out of the pool. But to say this needs to be done now, you know what it did, right? It shut down half of the public pools in America, right? Great law. Good stuff. We just continually pass one stupid law. Hey, Arabian Bard, good to see you. Hey, Pamela. So now at 72, I am on Vicodin again. I have terrible pain, and that's just the way it is. And you know what, Pamela? It doesn't make you a bad person, right? Our country, your country, might tell you that you are, but you're not. You're not, right? There is no reason that someone has to live in pain. There's no honor in gritting your teeth and doing without. One of the things that bummed me out the most about the lifeboat, especially in the early days, where people would come on and I would get emails that says, I have been taking pain meds for the last 15 years. I broke my spine, right? They tell you it was 50 friggin' injuries, right? I'm trying to get off of this stuff now. And I'm going, why are you trying to get off of it? Well, because of all the stuff you're talking about. I'm not talking to you, right? If you're on pain and you're taking pain medication because you're on pain, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to those people who are taking pain medication for spiritual pain, for emotional pain. I'm not talking to the people who are taking it for physical pain. They have a right to not be in pain. That's legit.
I bet there are less than 1,000 laws in Ecuador.
Well, you know something? You can't sue people in Ecuador, so that's a real good start, right? There aren't lawsuits. There has to be a limit to the number of laws that get passed. It seems never ending. I know that a lot of them are necessary, but all of them? Yeah, a lot of them are necessary. I'll tell you something else that's funny, right? What's the name of the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right? That woman was in office a couple of weeks, right? Had her first bill ready to roll, which is impressive because she was a bartender, right? Nothing wrong with being a bartender, but how the hell did you know how to put together a bill that quickly? Well, because none of them put the bills together, right? Lobbyists do. They show up with the bill and they hand it to you and they say, we're going to pay you off. You can't do that, Tommy. No, you can't. Of course you can't. But you can say, I'll start a political action committee in your name, right? A PAC, and we'll put $15 million into it. Now, you can't spend that. You can't go buy Rolexes with it, right? You can't go buy a car with it. But it'll sure as shit make sure you get elected again, won't it? Right? You'll have a lot of money to run your campaign on. Big money. Unfortunately, corporations are running America these days. And that's not the way it was ever intended to be. You know, and I love the Purple Mountain Majesty. I love the fruited plains. I really do. So the most beautiful country in the world. It has everything. And the people in America are fantastic. But we have gotten so off. Hey, Jeremy Shelton. We have gotten so off track that for me, it's not a fit anymore. I'm not bad-mouthing the country. I promise you I'm not. I love America. When we get to the condo that we bought, there will be an American flag hanging behind us, I promise. You know, but Pamela says Texas is very harsh. It's another real problem, isn't it? It's another real problem, isn't it? Because you can, right? You can find yourself in a place where you get pulled over and you got an ounce of weed on you. And you, what do you think, squirrel, if we got a chance? There we go. You end up in court and the judge goes, it's only an ounce? Get out of here. This is stupid. Go 2 states over and they're going to go, you had an ounce? 4 years in prison. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. And I'll tell you what, keep making laws, right? Way more than you need. And you know what you find? You find 4% of the population of the planet in the United States of America. 26% of all of the people in prison are in prison in the U.S. That doesn't make sense, right? That doesn't make any sense. If we're 4% of the population of the planet, we sure as shit shouldn't have 26% of the people incarcerated. We have way too many people in prison. And many of them are in prison for smoking a plant, right? Selling a plant. Honestly, the country needs to get its shit together massively. And no place is perfect, I promise you. No place is perfect. But as crazy as it sounds, I feel considerably safer here than I did there. And I know that people trip out that, but I truthfully feel safer here than I did in America. And that's kind of why I'm here. You grew up in North Carolina. I wish I were home. You know, it's a great concept, right? It really is. It was the greatest concept in the world. Unfortunately, money worked its way in, right? Money took over. The fact that lobbyists exist is a problem. The fact that earmarks, right? Earmarks. This is the greatest hustle in the country. Absolutely the greatest hustle. When the next election comes around, you're going to see commercials that say Johnny Scoville voted against giving money to crippled children 4 times. And you go, what kind of scumbag votes against giving money to crippled children? Well, that's not really what happened. There was a project, right, for a new nuclear submarine. And added onto it as an earmark was some money to be given to crippled children. You didn't vote for the sub, which means you also didn't vote for the earmark. And so why is there earmarks? Well, that's how you get bills passed, right? You got 50 states. So you got to go to the guy in Vermont and go, I need your vote. Yeah, well, we'd like to put a little something, something on this bill. So a bill that starts out being with a budget, the bill's going to cost America $2 billion. By the time it's done, it's going to cost $25 billion because Alaska is going to build a bridge and Texas is going to build earmarks, right? How is this shit legal? And more importantly, how's this? Insider trading is okay. If you work for the USA, okay, if you are a politician and you happen to work for the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, and a Delta jet crashes, right? You're going to know 4 weeks before anyone else does if Delta is going to be found responsible or not found responsible. Now, in the stock market, you can short or you can go long, right? You can bet for a stock or you can bet against the stock. Well, if you know that Delta is going to get exonerated, that they didn't do anything wrong, they're going to blame it on Scoville, right? Maintenance, the people that were working on the engine. Well, then I'm going to short the crap out of one and go long on the other, and I'm going to make enough money in one day to never have to worry about working ever again. Nancy Pelosi. And I pick on her just because she's made more money than everybody else, but they've all done it. Republicans, Democrats, there ain't a one that hasn't profited that way. And if they have, if there's one out there that hasn't, God bless you and I apologize. But you know what? I ain't buying it. I really ain't buying it. It's just kind of the way it is, man. Aren't those lobbyists special? Pamela, how about this? How about you could be on the floor of Congress, right? And the following year, you could be working as a lobbyist. So you go back up talking to your old homeboys. Hey, I got a bill. It's already written up for you, bro. Here it is. You want a political action committee? Huh? Nah, man, I got a huge one. It'll look bad. Well, then I got an idea. Why don't we all go and talk about this, say in Barbados? It's just a business trip, right? How many times do you hear that the governor of Nebraska, right, is in Russia talking to politicians, or is in China? What the hell is the governor, right, of Nebraska doing in China? Huh? Or how about the fact that if you get elected, right, from Hawaii, the United States of American citizens and their taxes are going to pay to fly you home to watch your kid play soccer on Tuesday, fly you back on Thursday to vote on a bill, fly you back to vote to watch your daughter's recital, and then fly you back for the next vote. You live like kings, right? You've got servants, right? Some volunteers, they call them interns, and the others are paid, but you got, 20, 30 people that do whatever you tell. I used to, no joke, you can ask my brother, whenever politicians would come to town and they would do forums where you could come in and ask them questions, I would get online and wait, right? And when it was my turn, they'd say, yeah, what is your question? I'd go, how much does a gallon of milk cost? Help me out. How much does a gallon of milk cost? And I'd ask that because there isn't a politician in America that can tell you how much a gallon of milk costs, because none of them have gone shopping for themselves in decades, right? They don't drive their own cars. They live a very different life. And now I'm starting to sound ugly, aren't I? Chili Fellow, good to see you. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do, people. I'm going to call it almost time for lunch.
Is it my turn or your turn?
It's your turn.
My turn.
Yeah, we're believe it or not, we're going out to eat ceviche again. Sorry, I love ceviche. I think I may end up eating it every day for the rest of my life.
And it's 75 degrees now.
It's 75?
Yeah.
It's already gotten, I'm telling you, people, if you look just for laughs, it's 75 degrees every single day. It's absolutely amazing, especially in the winter. All right, people, between now and the next time I see you, right, be kinder to one another. And guess what? If this pisses you off, I'm really sorry. But there are people I blocked while the ugly was going on. And I didn't block him for being in somebody else's chat. I blocked him for saying ugly things on my channel, right? Reese never said anything ugly on my channel, and she got blocked. Not by me, but she's going to get unblocked. And if that bums you guys out, I apologize. And it's the last time I will. So I'm going to stand on love from this point forward. Ain't going to be any more hate, right? I'm a happy mother lover. I'm not going to allow any of this crap to bum me out. I'll be real honest with you. Even this lawsuit, all of those people who go, it ain't going to happen. I'm having a ball, people. Seriously, I'm happier than a pig in mud. See you on the next one, folks. Between now and then, production, huh?
Quit looking for happiness where you lost it.
And quit looking for happiness the same place you lost it.
It ain't there.
It ain't there. God bless.